town near the Sea of Galilee. I live in the water half. There's two parts of it now. It was kind of split into two parts when the son of Herod the Great came in and he made it into two. So now there's part that's by the water and there's part that's not by the water. We live by the water because we're fishermen. Well, I will be a fisherman. My dad and my brothers don't let me go out on the boat very much because I'm the youngest. I hate being the youngest. I never get to do anything fun. And my mom never believes me when I tell her stuff. And the worst part is I have to stay home with my sisters all the time. Anyway, but one thing I did get to do, I got to see the Messiah. I really did. I really did. Yeah, my dad says a lot of people don't really believe he's the Messiah. But I believe he is. Andrew says he is. And I believe Andrew. Andrew used to be our neighbor. But when he and his brother Peter were out on the boat fishing, Jesus called them and he said that he wanted them to follow him right when they were fishing. And so they left and they went to follow him to be his disciple. Andrew gets to follow Jesus around everywhere. I wish I could do that. Well, on the day I got to see Jesus, it was a pretty normal day. I had to stay home with my sisters again. My dad and brothers were out on the boat working on it or something. And I was at home. All of a sudden, this huge crowd of people comes by our town. It was like 50 million people. They come by, and I didn't know what was going on. Andrew actually came into the town, and he said that Jesus was coming by. And he said we should all go and see him. Well, my mom and my sisters were busy, and my dad and my brothers were out on the boat, but I really wanted to go. So I asked my mom, please, Mom, let me go. Mom, please let me go. She didn't want to let me go at first, but I begged and begged and begged. We had other neighbors going. I knew I would be okay. I'd stay with them. She made me promise if she would let me go that I would stay with them and I wouldn't stay out too late. Yes, Mama. She gave me some food. She finally said I could go. Gave me some food and told me not to be too late. And so I went. I ran out and joined the crowd. And we got to a spot where Jesus was going to be. He was actually in a boat. We were all walking and he got to ride in a boat. He went and he came out and he saw all the people that were there. And he started healing them. All the people that were sick. There were lots of sick people. But Jesus came and healed them. And it was cool. And when it started getting a little bit later, some of the kids were complaining about being hungry. I'm not allowed to complain. I get smacked. But they were complaining. Kids. Anyway, I inched my way closer to Jesus and his disciples to see what they were talking about. Because when, at home, because I knew he could do cool things. At home, when Andrew comes home to tell us about what Jesus is doing, because sometimes he does, my mom and dad ask him about what's going on. And I listen, and I hear about what Jesus does. Even though they don't think I'm listening, I really am. I went over and I was listening to Jesus and his disciples, and they were talking. And I went and I sneaked up close. And the disciples came up to Jesus and they said, these people are hungry. You need to send them out to the villages to buy bread. Uh-oh. I was about ready to run home and tell Mama to make some more bread because we were going to need a lot. But Jesus told his disciples, no, that's not necessary. You feed them. And Philip said, but Jesus, where can we buy enough bread for all these people? It would take over a year of working to make enough money for all of them. To feed them? A year? That's so long! I'll be 8 in a year. That would be forever. But that was when Andrew remembered me and he noticed me listening. He came over to me and asked if Jesus could have my food that I had brought. He remembered that Mom had packed me some food. Jesus needs my food? This is the coolest thing that has ever happened to me in my whole life! That was awesome. I gave him my food, and then Jesus asked, how much food do you have? And Andrew said, well, we have 5 loaves and 2 fish. That was what my mom packed me. And so he said, okay, and he took the food. I thought he was just going to eat it or something. That wasn't very much food. But he took it and he prayed. And then he started tearing it up. Sometimes I do that too. I tear up my food and then make a big pile of it, and it looks like I've got more, just like my brothers do. And I can eat a lot. But eventually, I don't have a lot to tear up, so it doesn't last long. But when Jesus was tearing the bread, it took forever. I almost fell asleep watching him tear up all that food. But he just kept tearing it up and tearing it up. And he tore and he handed and he tore and he handed and he tore and he handed and he tore and he handed. It took forever. But you know what? All the people that were there got enough food so that they weren't hungry anymore. There were somebody said, there was over 5,000 people there. That's a lot of food and a lot of people. And after everybody had eaten what they wanted, there were leftovers. Mama's never made a meal like that before. But I've been thinking about that day. And that was really cool what Jesus did. He took something that was so little, my little bit of food, and he made it help a ton of people. But the first thing that happened was Andrew came to me and remembered that I had food. He noticed it. You know, there's lots of things that you can notice too. Maybe you have talents, or maybe you have something like a skill, or maybe there's something about yourself that you don't really like, that you don't think it's good for much. Like, I can do that, but what am I going to do with it? Or, I don't like this about myself. It's something that I don't really like. Like, I hate being the youngest kid. But you know, since I'm the youngest kid and I don't have to go out on the boat, I'm able to stay home sometimes and tell some of the other kids in our village about the cool things that Jesus did, especially with my food. And I don't know, maybe there's something that you should notice too, like Andrew noticed me, that you can take even if you don't think it's good for much, and you can use it. And God can use it, because my dad says that nothing is impossible with God. That even when we have really big situations that we don't know what to do with, just like all of those people, God can do whatever he wants. He can help all of those people. He can make any big situation seem like nothing. You know something else that I was paying attention to, even though they didn't think I was? When Jesus prayed for the food, when he had it in his hands and he prayed, he didn't actually bless the food like my dad does when he prays for our meals. He said, bless this food to our bodies that we would be healthy and strong. But he didn't do that. He blessed God for the food and thanked him for the miracle that he was going to do. He had faith that God was going to do something really cool. He believed it. I didn't really believe it at first. That was a lot of people to feed. But now, I always believe. I know that God can take anything I've got and make it into something that'll help a lot of people. Jesus was so cool. And he helped a lot of people that day. He helps a lot of people all the time. But you know what? That day he used me. He used the food my mom packed me. he was able to take it and make it into something a lot bigger. But you know what the coolest part of this story is? The biggest miracle of all is that when I went home and I told my mom about this, you know, it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of people. It's kind of ridiculous. I went home and told her about it, and she actually believed me!